Welcome back to another episode of the PokeStop Podcast. I am your host, Zach Praw, as always, joined by my amazing co-host, Thad Wayne. Thad, how you doing this week?
Not too bad. Car situation got figured out, so that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I saw you bought a brand new Tesla Cybertruck. Really cool. Definitely.
Yeah,
really
dude, I just got like that.
To have your Transformer. It's cool.
Yeah, dude, I walked in. They said, "Here are the keys, sir." I didn't even need to buy it. It's
I
crazy.
didn't even pay for it. They were trying to give it away. It's crazy.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I know. Like, honestly, like getting a new car is like. I also bought a new car on Friday. So last week we just went and did it. YOLO. You know, so we're both rolling in the new whips. It's phenomenal.
Yep.
But we also had some new stuff happen this week. Destined Rivals for stores that have they're like official Pokemon stores. I think, is that just like any store that runs a league? Is that like the qualifying?
Any store that has a league.
Okay. So they were able to sell on Monday. I bought on Tuesday on my stream, I opened up 50 packs. I bought a booster box, an ETB, and then just like 5 loose packs to round it out for 50. And my pull rates were really bad. I think I got like decent playables. Like I got a bunch of like the Team Rocket stuff. I pulled no Mewtwo's, no Ho-Ohs, but I did pull Nidoking EX. If anyone's trying to build Nidoking, I got you, fam. Just pull up in the DMs and we'll talk some business. All right. I will literally pay you to take the card. So yeah. I mean, you also opened a fair amount of the product outside of pre-releases when you pulled, I don't know, this Rockets Mewtwo thing. I don't know. What did you sell that for? Like $5?
I mean, if you multiply that by like, I don't know, like 400 or so.
That's exactly how much it was. Or 80.
Yeah.
Or no, actually 160. Yeah, you sold that. How much did you sell that for again?
I sold it for $800.
Which is insane. Like the fact that someone would pay that for that card at any point outside of it in a slab with a 10 on it.
Yeah, dude, right now market value on it's like only 400, which is crazy. So
yeah. And like we're still technically like it is Thursday. So the set is not even officially out yet.
Yeah. And the price keeps plummeting on it. And I made a huge
yeah. I think honestly, in a week, I bet that card will be $250.
Oh yeah. It'll be like SIR Pikachu pricing. So it'll come out around, $250, $300.
I think it'll be a little lower than Pikachu, just because Pikachu is actually like a very playable card. And like it's kind of, and it's a little bit splashable. It's like if any deck runs like Crispin or like has a focus on like building up Terras quickly, like that card is just so good.
Yeah.
Like that ability is insane. The attack is super good. Like it's also only a 1 retreat. So like it's not something you have to devote a lot of resources to move. So like it just has a lot more going on for it than I think the Mewtwo will.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe in a year or so we'll see Mewtwo be relevant, and maybe prices will go up.
Maybe, yeah. I think like if someone were to like top 8 with a Mewtwo deck at some point, which I think will happen, there will be like, which is also weird for this format because there's pretty much just like NAIC.
Yeah, I did also pull the SIR Giovanni.
I think the universe is just telling you need to play Rockets Mewtwo. You just keep pulling the most important card and like the highest rarity for that.
It's actually kind of crazy because
I
already listed it on eBay, so we'll see.
Yeah, we have this format will pretty much just be NAIC, and then the Singapore Master Ball League at the end of June. Those are the only 2 tournaments in the standard format, and obviously Japan's national championships are like in the middle of the month. But like I'm not a big believe the Japan meta guy. I don't know. I just think like that meta just never holds true in comparison to like the North America and like European formats. I don't know. I mean, like Fear Alligator won the Champions League. Yeah, and that deck was kind of DOA.
Yeah, I mean, I don't put a lot of stock in their results at this point.
Yeah, and I honestly never really have. Like, after like, I like when I first started playing, I did just because like I didn't really know, But then like after like 3 tournaments, and I was like, oh, none of these decks are good. I was like, why are we listening to this outside of like it's something to talk about?
I think that's it. I think
Yeah, like I think that's really all it is. Yeah, it's just like it's a talking point, and it's like it's cool to talk about. Like, oh, these decks did really well at the Champions League. Like, let's look at these decks and see like, are these real decks? You know.
Yeah.
Also, Walls
but I mean, like,
did really good there too. Like 2 decks that just like faltered immediately when they hit when we got those decks and they literally just crumbled into sand.
yeah, which is what I mean. I think Marnie's Grimstone has a little bit more. I mean, and we'll get more into this once we start talking about like the tier listing and stuff. But
Sure.
I think Marnie's Grimstone is going to kind of fall into that same situation where, like, sure, it's good, but then you just lose a good Dragon Ball players. You lose to good Terra Box players. Bolt doesn't seem like that for sure of a matchup because you play such a slim Frost last line. And trapping now with Bolt is really difficult. So
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, and we'll definitely. I definitely do want to get really into when we tier list the Destined Rivals format, kind of like as we are entering that format. But before we do that, there was we usually do avoid a lot of like the Twitter drama of the Pokemon community on this podcast, but there was something that kind of like happened during the week that both of us were like, this is insane. So for those who don't know, TCG Player is actually owned by eBay. And eBay is doing honestly some really not good things. They are really just being terrible, if I'm being 100% honest. The employees at the Syracuse-based TCG Player Authentication Center, they voted to unionize through the Communication Workers of America Union under their TCG union, which I think that's like the more I looked into this, the more I was like, okay, so like they're trying to like, there's been a lot more work by that union like nationally to more focus on like the video game aspect, and then now the like aspects of like trading card games, probably from like the manufacturing to the shipping to the selling, like kind of like trying to get as much of a foothold as possible. And I know like both of us are like pretty like pro labor, pro union. I come from a labor background. My father is in a labor union. He retired on a labor union. He has a pension from a labor union. I worked in that labor union for 5-ish years, something like that, like 5 years. And I also worked in an industry on a union and non-union side, and I like the differences were astronomically better. But some of the stuff that eBay has been doing, which is kind of insane, and I'm just reading directly from their from the press release from the union, of people being verbally and physically harassed by people who eBay has hired to harass them. And I'm gonna be honest. When I worked in a labor union and in a manual labor job, if you put your hands on somebody, even if it was like to help them, we're having a very serious conversation outside of the view of management and cameras. Like I was like reading this and like talking to my wife about this, and I was like, I literally was getting like visibly heated. She was like, "Are you okay?" Because I hate that. I'm a big person who like I am a big person, but that's irrelevant. I'm a big I hate bullies. I hate people who use their power or perceived power to influence someone else's decision in a negative way. So when I see stuff like this, like I get very angry. I get incredibly angry whenever I see this. And I also live near a Amazon fulfillment center that I have seen, the law enforcement forcibly remove protesters from a public location because Amazon claims they own it. So they own the sidewalk. So that's cool.
Don't you know that?
Yeah. What do you think? That go ahead. I've been ranting about this for a minute.
No, I mean, I think that this is just another, like, you know, and come in here with my comrade.
It's actually hilarious.
Shirt.
We were talking right before we started. I said it's hilarious you're wearing that shirt, which was not planned whatsoever.
No.
It's also just like a good looking shirt. Like I actually just enjoy the artwork of it.
Yeah, no, it's great. Got my little labor union guy there, but I mean, I'm always going to be pro union. You know, same situation. I mean, we're Midwestern kids. You know, I had a dad who was in several different unions throughout his life. Blue collar worker, so like I get the importance of it, and I think that, in like this industry, it's tough because it is a like warehouse, but also it is a card sorting facility. So like it's sort of perceived retail, but then it's also perceived warehouse at the same time. So it's like it kind of falls into like the Amazon warehouse kind of trap where like who is going to want to be the first one to make that plunge into trying to unionize, and then you see outcomes like this happen, and it just deters so many people from
100%.
wanting to protect their rights, wanting to protect themselves from, you know, misuse of, you know, capitalist forces. So I mean, not to get too like, you know, political economic about it, but like at the end of the day, I think that, you know, these workers do a lot of good work, and especially it's relevant in our space.
Right.
I personally try not to shop from Amazon as much as I can, but you know, when it comes to Pokemon cards, you know, a lot of times you have to turn to TCG Player. I mean, especially like for myself who plays multiple different formats. I have retro decks. I have, I mean, same as you too, right? You have retro decks, you have GLC decks, you have standard decks, and sometimes just card shops just don't have all that stuff available. And
100%.
it would be incredible if they did, but they never will, right? So you got to turn to these other resources. And I think another thing worth mentioning is TCG Player. Did you already mention that TCG Player was bought by eBay?
I did. Yeah, I started with that.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that like at the end of the day, like the two biggest places where you get cards from are TCG Player and eBay.
Yeah.
And now that's the same thing. It's the same people. So it just feels bad 100%. All around.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, it just sucks. And like I don't enjoy. I usually like try to avoid shopping TCG Player, not because of like anything related to this, but I just like getting it right then and there. I'm big. I love falling for instant gratification. Like I'm really 100%. Good at it. I'm really good at that. It's one of my best qualities. Yeah, so like if I need a card and like, you know, like if it's like I'm probably going to play this deck at some point kind of thing, I'll get it on TCG Player. Other than that, I'll just wait for a shop to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just,
yeah,
you know, I wanted people to be aware of it because like I know there's a lot of people who aren't on Twitter, which is a good thing for obvious reasons. But I think it's just really important to inform people the best we can. And like, I'm never someone who, I don't like to tell people how to spend their money. I just like to tell them why they shouldn't spend their money on things. But ultimately, it's your credit card. You're the one who's going to swipe it. So,
yeah,
do what you do, King. You know?
I agree.
All right, moving on to some happier news, Dad. It is time to rank this format. We are looking at the Destined Rivals format, and we are ranking our top 12 decks, kind of going into this format. This does include 2 new archetypes for Destined Rivals. We have the Marnie's Grimmsnarl, and we also have the Mewtwo Spidops, kind of like the Team Rocket box, I guess.
Yeah.
First off, here we have Dragapult, and this is just the normal straight Dragapult. I think this deck is A tier. I think it is still very good. I think it's like top of A, bottom of S. I think it's really strong. It doesn't really get inhibited by the Shaman. The way decks like Bolt and Gardevoir do a bit more, and even Terrabox. I think those decks get nerfed a little bit by Shaman. Whereas Dragapult's just like, okay, proceeds to do exactly what they were already doing.
Yeah. I would say my only detractor to this would be that now that Gardevoirs are playing Rapskas, it is a little bit more difficult.
That's why that's why I think it's A. That's why I can't put it in S, because Gardevoir is like a deck you need to be able to beat consistently.
Yeah, I just don't think that you have that dog in you. I think you can pretty much a positive or 50-50 every other matchup, but I think that the Gardevoir matchup at this point is just not winnable at a consistent level.
I agree with that 100%. Up next, speaking of Gardevoir, we have Gardevoir. I think it's deck's S tier.
S tier, yeah.
It was really good last format. It didn't really get hurt that much. The Shaman's a little bit of a problem, but like you also just have so many attackers. Like you have so many like toolboxy attackers. Like sure, Screamtail's not as good, but you still have Drifloon.
Yeah.
The Mimikyu that came out you can use. Like I don't think this deck really misses a beat. I mean, this deck, what did it win? 2 regionals last format?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because Tonneson won. It might have been
won a special event.
I think it was 2 and a special.
Yeah.
I think it won I think it was that the Mexico City regional that Brent won with Guardy?
Yeah.
Also, just like the laundry list of like 97,000 people who all like got day 2 limitless pages with Brent's Guardy list was just insane.
Well, it actually won the last 3 regionals.
Not only that, like there were literally like 200 decks of like this format of people playing the exact same 60 as Brent.
Yeah.
Like just
Michael
such
Davidson,
an insane deck. Yeah, they played
Portland.
Yeah, I think Brent won Mexico City, and then it did win a special event for sure.
Brent won Melbourne.
Oh, maybe Mexico City was like an SP. Maybe it was an SPE that I don't know.
Mexico, I think that's coming up. Right?
What was the event Brent won?
That was, you talking about the one that Brent?
It was like shortly after Atlanta.
The Monterey. Yeah. But Guardy won Portland. It won Santiago, Melbourne, and did not place or didn't yet. It had one in Top Cut at Utrecht special event. But I mean, we've seen 2 different lists, 3 different lists.
Yeah, I mean, just
with
the card's broken.
Yeah, it's just so good.
Yeah, card broken, deck good. I think this is an S tier. I don't think there's really any argument against that. Up next, my boy, my baby, my son, Raging Bolt Ogerpon with Noctowls. Oh,
it's still A.
What can we say about this? I'm making an argument for S. I'm sorry, I have to. It won a regional last format. It might not be with Shaman and like Marnie's. I think A is fine. I think if you're putting it below A, you're rage baiting. Yeah, I think if you've got to find.
Yeah.
I think Watchtower won't really be an impact. I've had a couple people ask me about that just because like I am like the Bolt guy. Like I've just only play this deck, so they were like, "Are you worried about Watchtower?" And honestly, I'm not, because you already play 3 stadiums. So like, if you know they're playing Watchtower, just watch your stadium. Like just don't burn stadiums just to like don't vessel away a stadium. Don't ultra ball a stadium. Like play around that as much as possible. Yeah. This honestly, any deck with Noctiles, I feel like is just always going to be really good. But I'm fine with A tier. That's fine. Because it's also like how it's. I think it really comes down to how vital is Shaman. Like how good is that card in this format? And I think going into it, we have to believe it's a very real threat for decks that like to snipe.
Yeah.
Up next, we have Joltik Box. This deck did not really get anything. Doesn't really get hurt by anything. It kind of just remains the way it was. I think it's B again. I think we said it last format. I think we're going to say it again this format. You're going to have a bad time unless you can do three things. Beat Pult, beat Bolt, and beat Guardy. And this deck does not beat Bolt. Like, you just don't. Like, if you take in a best of three, if you beat a Bolt, you're just like, I need to go play Mega Millions right now. Like, or you know what I mean? Like, you just gotta run hot all day for this deck to be successful, and you don't have like Noctiles to bail you out.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a slim line of
it's just run hot the end.
Yeah.
And like, I'm gonna be honest, this deck is really fun to play, but I don't know how good it is for like a regional. Or like
the best thing is angel lighting away all the energy.
Yeah, for sure. All right, up next, the other Dragapult is Dragapult Dusknoir. I think this deck is S tier. I do.
I think it's S tier. I think that gives you the best chance in the Guardy. We don't have the Psyduck yet, which is
really good for that deck.
Really good for that deck.
A deck that says place damage counters on everything. Like, it's pretty good. Not having the Psyduck is pretty relevant for that deck. It's just so good. Honestly, yeah. Like, I think that the top three of this format is gonna still be Bolt, Pult, Guardy. Like, I think those are the three heavy hitters.
Yeah, I think if you can establish a setup, like if you can like get down like 3 Dreepy, a Shaman, and a Budu.
Yeah.
You kind of have an impenetrable board state at that point. And,
it's really good.
Or like 2 Dreepy or, some amount of Dreepy plus a Duskull or something,
Yeah, for sure. All right. Up next, Goldango Dragapult. I was never a fan of Dangopult, and I kind of like later in the format became more of a believer. Just in like the Dracloak engine in general, which I like it more. Just because like you just like cycle through your deck so quickly and so efficiently. Like you just put the bad stuff on the bottom and draw into your SERs. The way like with like the Dudunsparce builds, you usually are just drawing back into like Dudunsparce pieces, and then it's like, okay, my draw 3 is now a draw 2, and at that point, why don't I just play Dracloak? Like,
yeah.
What's the point at that rate? Which I guess like the Dudunsparce was nice because you had like the switch out option. But this deck I think looked really good in the early stages of this format, but kind of fell off when like Bolt Pult Guardy did Bolt Pult Guardy things. I think it kind of has like a sub 50 matchup into all three of those. Which I think was kind of the cause for its fall off.
Yeah, I will say that I think that before this format, before Destined Rivals, if Marnie's Grimmsnarl wasn't relevant, if it was like more close to 0,
yeah,
then that deck would be super good.
You just have too many abilities. You just get punished by Frostlass.
Yeah. I mean, you just get board wiped by a Devo.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. They just wait 3 turns, and not even 3 turns. They wait 2 turns, and say Devo.
Yeah.
And then you just you literally scoop them all up. You don't. If they don't take 6 prizes, you don't have any basics.
Yeah, you get destroyed by a Devo.
Yeah.
Everything on your board has 70 HP. It takes 3, like you said, 3 turns to get there. Sure, you're gonna get disrupted, but you can also trap with the Maractus.
They also have Monkey, so they can like if you try to like bench again, they can just Monkey onto you, and then also put you there. Like it's just so bad. I think it's C tier though. I think it's still a good deck. It's just not a good deck right now.
Yeah, it's a good deck, but it's not a good deck right now. I would
Yeah,
agree.
it's going into a very unfriendly format. So depending on how this format develops, which I don't know how much it will develop, right? Because we only have NAIC, so there's no second event where we'll see a reaction to the first event. We just have the first event, and then
Worlds.
the end. Yeah, and then everyone's gonna be you're either testing for Worlds or you're testing for next year, or you know what I mean. You're testing for Black Bolt White Flare. Like you just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of the downside of every June we have like this month off lull, which I know is nice for a lot of like TOs and like people who go to like a lot of tournaments, and I get that. It just kind of sucks for these formats that don't really get to be explored the way they would if there were more events.
Yeah.
But up next we have Terrabox. This deck, I don't know, man. I think this is another one of those. My lunch has been eaten by a Frostlass.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because like there's a list that I think Daichi came out with that's actually somewhat good, but like what? Well, I have the list pulled up. Is it right here? Caleb Rogerson played the same 60. Um, but it's essentially just a little bit more like lower to the ground list where I think you're better at punishing slower setups just because you have like Briar, which wasn't an inclusion for the longest time. Back to the jamming tower, just yeah, it's definitely like it's built to right now take advantage of slow setups, but if your opponent gets out a shaman, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree with that. I think I hate to do it, but is this a D tier deck?
I don't think it's D tier for the only reason being that Pikachu, Terapagos, Clefairy are like
Yeah, that's fair.
three of the best, like three possibly some of the best attackers in the game.
Yeah, I think C. I think it's in that C tier.
I would go C tier.
Yeah, I think C tier. It's in like the good deck, but bad meta.
Yeah. Good deck at some point.
You also lose your snipe with Shaman, so it's going to be really hard to the water pond attack. Torrential Pump. It's going to be hard to Torrential Pump to make that really impactful on your opponent, especially with Shaman in the decks like Guardian Dragapult.
Yeah.
All right, up next, a deck that like I think is good, but a lack of availability makes it hard for a lot of people to play. The Eevee box, the Flareons, the Angelite Sylveon, the so many. We even saw late in the format Umbreon get used as like a Guardy counter.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you take this one because you've been loving this deck lately.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on this deck. I think it's pretty good. I think that you take a lot of favorable matchups and very few really unfavorable matchups. You're 50-50 into a lot of things. The Taylor Whalen list from Portland is actually super cool. The Serrano that's in there, where you just go get 3 EX Pokemon.
Yeah,
it's kind of sick. Kind of a cool play. Feels a little slow to me. I don't love it right now. Just getting 3 AX just because I don't know. I'd rather go get. You ideally need to Noctowl to go get it, but you can't use a Noctowl unless you already have one of your Terra EXs in play.
Right.
So like it just feels like a win more card, and I'd rather see that be maybe something else.
That's fair.
I don't know what. Maybe at this point, like another stadium counter.
Yeah.
Or like a 4th Crispin. Not 100% sure what I would want that to be, but I really like the Umbreon inclusion, the first attack Moon Mirage. Lets you just do 160, which cleans Guardies, which is nice.
Yeah, which is perfect Guardy math.
Guardy is not a good matchup for you. So you need to be able to find ways to be able to get there with things like Umbreon. I mean, you could realistically do 2-2-2 with Umbreon, Flareon, back to Umbreon sort of
Right.
situation where you're using the Flareon with a Kieran to do 30 more damage to a Guardy. And you still play Briar, so like even if you go on odd prizing, or if your opponent's on even prizing and you're on odd, you could clean something up pretty nice with Umbreon. I like this list a lot. Again, maybe there's a couple cards I wouldn't want to include that Taylor did, but ultimately, I think it's like I think it's a B tier for sure.
I was gonna say B. I think it's good.
It's really
depending on the room.
Yeah, I mean it's also not super consistent, which is
I like that the Flareon
sort of
is a good amount. It's a decent amount of damage, while also not having an ability.
I mean, and the fire weakness is relevant right now.
Especially with like corner, it kind of like makes corner bad.
Oh yeah,
because I like this deck has like a lot of like Turo-y switching.
yeah. You're not really taking a bad matchup anywhere directly, but
Yeah. All
I don't
right.
know.
Yeah, absolutely. Up next, our first Charizard deck, the Dragapult Charizard. I'm not a believer in this deck. I think your Bolt matchup is just so bad, and like following the triangle forum, I don't know, like can't beat Bolt, not good. But I think this deck, I think this is kind of like a low B, high C deck. Like if you find the right meta, like this deck could be really good. Like Charizard, super good. Like you start at 180 and just go up. Like, and then you also combo that with Dragapult being able to like soften things up and put damage counters places and doing a lot with the Dracloak, getting the things you need to find while also not giving a 2-prize liability. I think this is like kind of like again bottom B, high C. What do you think?
I would say more again. There's too many grass relevant attackers out there right now.
Yeah,
and I still don't think I don't think you can really shore up the Dragapult matchup either.
yeah. Dragapult just feels really bad unless you just go like Pult. You just go heavy Pult and just like hold Zards for the end game. But like also like you need to at least bench a Charmander the turn before, and then they can just like Halucha ping 10 on a Charmander and then Phantom Dive the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, I would be willing to go B on this.
All right, yeah, I think it's like again bottom C, bottom of B, top of C, excuse me. But up next, the other Charizard, the Charizard Pidgeot, with like, and this one also runs more of a Dusknoir line to really help you force your opponent to take prizes, and also like softens things up. I think this deck is, I think it's better than Dragapult Charizard, but not by much.
It's only better in the way that you have other support around the Charizard rather than just draw support.
100%.
And
yeah, I mean Pidgeot good. Like quick search is insane. Like,
yeah, I'm not a believer in the lists that are playing the Tatsugiri. I think that's kind of cope.
Yeah, I don't like Tatsugiri in general.
No, I
I
feel
wish
like
it was
whiff
one
it every
more
time.
card. Yeah, I always feel like the next card's gonna be a supporter.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Tatsugiri. The Chiyu's kind of cute. I don't know. It's the best version of Charizard, I think. I would still put it in C tier though.
That's fine. We can go see on that one. All right, now for some fun. We have the new Destined Rival decks. Up first, we have the Marnie's Grimmsnarl. I think this deck is a B tier deck. I think it's fine. I think you'll beat bad players consistently, but you won't consistently beat good players.
100% agree. I think that you punish people who don't understand control strategies.
Yeah, like you need to
or don't
go ahead.
go for it. I was gonna say, I think you beat the people who aren't prepared, and I think it starts with deck building,
Yeah,
right? Like bad players don't deck build with the corner in mind.
yeah.
So I
You
think
just
like
say
you have to
if I hit it, I take the L and just pretend they're not good.
yeah. So I think if you're playing a Turo or if you're playing a way to get out of a trap, then I think you're fine.
Yeah, and we've tested this matchup a bit. The Marnie's Grimmsnarl into Bolt, and I was just playing the top four list from Christian Fontenot, which we also have a video coming out about that in a few days. So check that out.
Should be out tomorrow.
Self promo. I actually just finished the thumbnail, and I'm really happy with how it came out.
It's a sick thumbnail.
Yeah, and we tested it a bit the past few days, and the Petulant Pheasantipity engine is way better than I thought it would be, and like it just seems way more like consistently buildable if you're careful with your energy attachments, and like you keep things where they need to be, so that way when you need them you can go find them.
Yeah.
So yeah, like this deck just feels like I beat the bad and most of the average, but I don't beat the good player or someone who knows how to play the matchup. Which like these like control decks I think are really best in a surprise, like the sneak attack kind of method of like no one's ready for this, so let me play like the I forget, I think it was Baltimore. They some people played like a wall deck that was just like Cornerstone Ogre Pawn, Mimikyu, like just literally like walls before walls existed. And it got I think all of them got like tops. There were like 3 or 4 people, and like all of them got like top 64. And one of them almost top 8'd. But I think those decks are just better in a surprise. In like a no one's ready for this, and I'm gonna drop it on you. The same thing with like Quad Thorns winning Worlds. Like that deck I don't think was the best deck in that format by any means. But no one was ready for it. Everyone thought Quad Thorns was a meme until you win Worlds with it.
Yeah, until we let it win Worlds, and now everyone's like, "Oh no."
Harnar. I think this is a B tier deck though. I think also right now,
I'd agree.
I think I'm lower on it now than I will be later in the format, like post NAIC. Just because I think this deck needs to be solved. I think right now a lot of people are just playing like not optimized lists, and I know there's somebody who's gonna like top 8 or top 32 NAIC with this. Like I just know it in my gut. Like my bones at night feel the cold of Frostlass.
No, I think it'll eventually get cracked too. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. It definitely will need to get cracked, but I think it will.
Yeah. All right. Our last deck is the Mewtwo Spidops. Which I also realized I just misspelled, so I'm just going to leave that as is. It's actually the Mewtwo Spidops.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite card.
So in the comments, let me know I can't spell, and you'll be right. I think this is honestly, this feels C tier. I don't think this deck is good. Not being able to run a lot of draw support, like there's no Noctowls, there's no Fez. At least I don't think there should be Fez. I don't know. I don't like the idea of running a ton of not rocket stuff.
Yeah.
The deck just, again, a deck that needs to be cracked.
It just doesn't feel like a good deck right now.
It feels like worse Raging Bolt. I'm gonna be honest. Like it just feels like a not as good turbo deck. Like if you're in this format, I feel like if you're playing a turbo deck, you're playing Bolt, or if you hate Bolt, you're gonna play Joltik.
I will say I think that there's going to be somebody who does figure out the 60.
100%.
But again, I don't think that we're really going to see it be super relevant until maybe until maybe after Worlds.
Yeah, for sure. I think maybe in a few sets, maybe after a rotation, this deck becomes relevant when certain decks lose certain things, and
Just
certain decks become unviable.
the supporter engine is so good.
Yeah, the Team Rocket supporters are absolutely insane. Last week we actually went through a lot of the trainers, so check out that video on the channel as well. I think this is C tier right now.
I would even go D tier.
You know what? We're gonna put it in D just so everyone can yell at me. I like it. I love that actually. Muto. It's so bad it doesn't even deserve to be spelled right. Yep, that's what it is. Mm-hmm.
Not even a good deck.
Yeah, I think it will be though. I just don't think it is right now. I think maybe in a couple formats. Maybe there's like something that's we don't know yet. Something's gonna come out that makes this deck really good. I don't know. Yeah, but like the supporter engines, the factory engine, like it's really good. It seems really good. It just needs to be figured out.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Thad, this weekend we both of us were actually going to a 3K cash tournament in Akron, Ohio, which I'm really excited about. What are you expecting, like top 3 decks? And then what deck do you think there should have been more of that weren't there?
I'm gonna go ahead and say I think that the top 3 will end up being Bolt number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Guardy number 2,
mm-hmm.
Pult number 3. Straight Pult,
not Dust nor Pult,
not Dust nor Pult. No.
Okay, I think it's gonna be Guardy 1.
Okay.
Bolt 2. Pult Dusknor 3. And then I think a deck that won't get enough play there. I think it's Flareon. I think that deck is just secretly good. And like if you can like figure out a way to make Gardevoir decent, like I think that deck is really good.
Yeah, I was actually I would say yeah, Guardy is the matchup it needs to figure out, but I think that the Umbreon can help get you there. Yeah, I just think that there's I would agree. I think Flareon is going to be an underrated deck, but a good play.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it just seems really, really good. Also, like the Moon Mirage only requires the 1 dark and then 2 of anything. So like that seems good.
Yeah, no, and at the end of the game you can just take a prize if you need to.
Yeah, the Onyx. Yeah, honestly, also turn 2 in sudden death. That's Onyx is going to be really good.
Yeah, I think that's a sneaky good.
Yeah, it reminds me of the old Blacephalon GX back in Sun and Moon, where you had like GX attacks that were just like 1 per game. You got 1 GX attack. It was kind of like the V-Star abilities, but it was an attack instead of an ability. And they were all attacks, so there were no GX abilities. You had to attack for turn. But the Blacephalon had a 1 fire. It's called Burst GX. You discard a prize card. If it's a fire energy, you attach it to the Blacephalon. So like the amount of times, like I forget why, but there were sudden deaths in that format a lot more than you would imagine. And the amount of times I would just win on like bench, attach, burst, game.
So good.
Slip right there, buddy. Sign it. Give me a little Johnny Hancock, and then you take the fries. You grab the bag, put the bag on the table, take the fries in the bag.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I do think Eevee is going to be an underrated play, just because I think the perception is that the Guardy matchup is really bad. So if you can figure that out, I think you're chilling.
Yeah, and again, it really just going to come down to, do I prize Umbreon?
Yeah.
And can I get it set up?
Yeah, it's definitely you got to run hot deck for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Alternatively, you can just own the $1,200 Umbreon and be like, I'm richer than you. Sign the slip, please. That's insane. That
Always
card's
another option.
$1,200.
Always an option.
That is absolutely absurd. Holy shit! I didn't actually realize that was $1,200 until I googled it
That's
now.
raw.
Yeah. That's just straight up.
The PSA 10s are insane.
Oh, I don't even want to think about it. Yeah, it's actually really funny when you look at the market history. It just looks like it's crashing, but it's actually just because it started at like $2,000, and like the fall off is to $1,200. The fall off is to like a case of booster boxes of any set.
Yeah, I mean, PSA 10s are like $2,000, like at the very least.
Yeah,
And then you're looking at like $4,000 at the high end.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So,
yeah, I am excited to see.
Riffle it.
Oh my god, I'm gonna riffle my opponent's Umbreons just to watch them die on the inside. But I'm excited for this tournament. I enjoy going to tournaments, and this is kind of like the end of my season. So I pretty much have this tournament and then another cash tournament I'm going to the weekend after NAIC, and then like everyone else, I'm kind of just waiting for next season to get announced, which hopefully we get sooner rather than later. But that is for another episode. This has been the PokeStop Podcast. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Which deck are you looking forward to? Maybe it's Bolt, maybe it's Pult, maybe it's Muto. You never know. And we'll see y'all next week on the PokeStop Podcast. Have a good one.
Later.